Good evening and welcome to This Is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno. We are live on Family Radio where the music does the talking, and also on Family TV where we're keeping Jesus on the airwaves. You can always talk to us in whatever situation and whatever question that you have, and also sending in your prayer request and praise reports through the WhatsApp number 0786 316 316, SMS line 20316. Well, today we will be hearing from one of our partners, and today he'll be sharing his story about addiction and dealing with addiction in a couple of minutes. But for now, we get it started. The University Academic Staff Union, UASU, have today warned that medical students at the University of Nairobi College of Health Science who are in their final year may fail to graduate in December as a strike by the health science lecturers persists. Health science lecturers withdrew from their teaching services last month after the university's Vice-Chancellor, Professor Stephen Kiama, stopped the payment of the lecturers' clinical allowances. The union said the lecturers will only resume services after the allowances were reinstated.
It is even biting harder than we started. We demand immediate and unconditional restatement of the clinical allowances. If Kiama does not understand what clinical allowances mean, let him come and consult these doctors. Let him stop consulting quacks from this institution. It's a government institution. That is Kenyatta Hospital, but none of them is qualified to actually supervise a trained doctor of the magnitude by Edmir. So Kiama should stop working with the CEO and come here and consult the doctors who will give him pure definition of clinical allowances.
The payment of allowances to the doctors you see here is a non-negotiable. We are not going to go into any negotiations to talk about what they want to define as clinical allowances. That we shall not do. The only thing that we shall talk about is payment of those allowances. The money is already approved. They've gone through the budgetary processes, through all approval processes in government, and availed at the University of Nairobi.
And now the ODM leaders have today cautioned Tanga against inciting Kenyans and using abusive language. Led by the party deputy leader Hassan Joho, they said divide and rule will not work in the Msambweni by-election. The leaders spoke today after the ODM candidate Omar Boga was cleared by the IEBC for the by-election, and the Siaya Senator James Orengo said the DP had disrespected Jubilee Party and President Uhuru Kenyatta, and he also told Dr. Ruto that he should resign, adding that he is a lost cause.
Mtu ambaye ameletwa hapa na deputy president. Siku hizi Kenya haina deputy president. Na tena sidanganya wote Msambweni ya kwamba kuna deputy. Asikuja hapa aseme tumetenga hapa, tumetenga. Mambo yake yote ni upusi. Huyo mtu hayuko upinzani, hayuko serikalini. Yule mtu ameisha.
Huyu jamaa ambao anaitwa deputy president ya Republic of Kenya, huyu amekosa njia, na kama kuna ukweli katika siasa angejiuzulu, na pia ameonyesha unafiki na pia kukosa adabu kwa rais ambaye amempatia kazi ambayo amefanya. Lakini hatuna shaka hapo, kwa sababu tunajua tumeanza njia ambao 2022 tunaelekeza Kenya, wakati ambapo tutakuwa na serikali ya wananchi wa Kenya ikiongozwa na Raila Amolo Odinga pamoja na ndugu yangu Hassan Ali Joho. Nani kama 001.
Well, that was a hint that Ali Hassan Joho, the Mombasa governor, might be campaigning for the deputy president, for the position of deputy president. And talking about the governor Ali Hassan Joho, he has dared Deputy President William Ruto to step foot in the Coast region in a bid to campaign for his preferred candidate in Msambweni.
Na watu wake, in fact, he's such a coward, hata anaogopa kuja na tuma watu kwanza. Kama ni mwanaume aje hapa, akampa hapa, tumuonyeshe what we are made of. Unajua ile kitu ambacho tumeundwa, tumuonyeshe kwamba sisi hatuchezewi na sio mchezo. So usitume tu don't do that. If you're man enough, my friends, don't play Msambweni politics in Nairobi, in Karen there, you know, posting pictures. Come here. Tukutane Mundu. Sisi tunakutime. We shall be here full time, my friend. We are waiting for them. So waje, tuko tayari.
Religious leaders have today condemned the politicization of constitutional changes by some politicians, and they said that now it is time for the Electoral Commission to prepare for the 2022 elections, and the leaders have also criticized politicians who use churches for their own personal gain.
We strongly recommend that a joint parliamentary select committee is urgently put in place to legislate a legal framework for appointment of IEBC commissioners that is not controlled by political parties. Commissioners should be fully independent of political influences. Further to this, there is need for the IEBC to regularly update and involve Kenyans in the preparation for the 2022 general elections. We must avoid handling the elections as an emergency.
Whereas the Building Bridges Initiative, BBI, was instituted to promote unity in the country, discourse on process has been on politics rather than content, with the net result that it is now a political tool that is bound to drive more divisions than unity. We urge that the report and proposals of the team be published to ensure further discourse on the content rather than the toxic political diatribe we have witnessed this far. While religious leaders underscore the need for law and order, we desire to see laws applied equally to all Kenyans so that justice is not just done, but is also seen to be done. On our part, we urge our brothers and sisters who are religious leaders to maintain the sanctity of the place of worship and the pulpit. The sanctuary is a sacred place for the worship of God and should not be used for other purposes.
I don't know what you think about that. Now let's head over to other news. Thousands of Kenyans who registered themselves as refugees will be removed from the United Nations High Commission of Refugee database. Speaking in Garissa town, Interior Chief Administrative Secretary Hussein Bado said that at least 14,000 Kenyans had registered themselves as refugees to enable them to benefit from the opportunities that are offered by the UN Refugee Agency. Bado said the suspects have been successfully vetted and will undergo other stringent processes before they are issued with a Kenyan national ID card. The vetting of double registered people was launched in November last year, with the government promising that genuine Kenyans who registered as refugees will be issued with their IDs by March.
Haya mambo tutasukuma kwa haraka iwezekanavyo, na tumekubaliana na Bwana Kimodho hata huenda tukabeba hizo forms ama zikafuatishwa tukitoka tu ikafuata nyuma yetu, ili pia tupatiane ripoti kwa ofisi. Manake tulikija hapa sisi tunaanza sasa kuion hiyo system kwamba tumejionea ile kazi imefanyika. Tulitaka kuja kujihakikishia kwamba hii vetting kama imeenda sawa sawa, na ile kazi imefanyika ni kazi ya ajabu. Kwa hivyo hatutakuwa na tashwishi, inshallah mambo yatakuwa mazuri.
There was an exercise ilikuwa imefanyika around November December ya IDs, ilikuwa inaitwa RRI, hapo sehemu I think ya Garissa, hiyo IDs bado haijatoka. Vile maana vile watu wameniambia, tafadhali tunataka hiyo exercise ile ilifanywa wakati wa RRI utufuatilie, so tupate hiyo IDs.
Ni nini itazuia sisi tusipatie wananchi wa Northeastern wale walienda refugee camp kipande?
Well, just before we get to hear the story of Nicholas, I want to hear from you. When you got born again, what is that one addiction that you had to quit? When you got born again, you know, now you are a Christian. What is that addiction that you had to quit? Talk to us through the WhatsApp number 0786 316 316, SMS line 20316. Well, today we have recorded 437 new cases of COVID-19, and now the total number of the caseload is at 43,580. Now, this is according to a statement that was released this afternoon by the Health CS Mutahi Kagwe, and he announced that 4,311 samples had been tested in the last 24 hours. And out of the positive cases, we have 430 who are Kenyans, while 7 are foreigners. And at the same time, 140 patients were discharged. Well, sadly, 8 more people succumbed to the virus, now bringing the total number of fatalities to 813 so far. Our condolences goes out to the family and friends of those that lost their lives because of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. Well, now to the story of Nicholas Kang'ethe. Yes, when he actually just quit smoking and drinking. It's a struggle, but he gives his story of how he made it through, and he also talks about some weight loss. Nicholas Kang'ethe, thank you for joining us today and for actually accepting to share your story, because you have one of a story. so just tell us.
Quite some story though.
You got some story, we must say. So tell us a little bit about this story before we go on.
This story of mine, thank you so much for this opportunity. This story of mine is a story of hope. It's a story of overcoming things that try to make us suffocate in life. So knowing that there's hope out there when you look around and don't see, if you're not seeing it physically, it is there spiritually. So for those people who have struggled with alcohol, those people who have struggled with smoking, or even weight, I want to tell them that there's hope. There's hope. There's hope. You can overcome these challenges, especially addiction, because even eating an addiction, a form of addiction. And if we have the spirit within us, one of the fruits of the spirit is fortitude. So it can be able to help us to overcome these things that try to make us drown. Yes.
All right.
Drown in life.
Yeah. So talking about your story, alcohol, smoking, plus weight. Now let's focus on these substances, the alcohol and the smoking. How did it start for you, Nick?
For me, it started very subtly. I didn't even know that I was going to head that direction. It was more of a social activity, it was socializing. And it started all the way back in high school. And in high school. And when we would meet over the weekends or even over the holidays, we would engage in alcohol. And because it was a favorite pastime for many people, especially people who are much older than us, we copied what they were doing, not realizing that we were training ourselves for some new habits, which later would come on to be difficult to get rid of. So it was a social activity, it was a social pastime activity, probably over the weekends or over the holidays. And it happened that now we apart from just being an activity, it also became quite engaging in that we now started looking for money to engage in this activity. So it was not just people meeting and hanging out together, but we also needed to meet, have money, and hang out drinking. So this money, you would look for it. Sometimes you need to sell some things. Sometimes you need to work somewhere, and at the same time you're going to school. Sometimes you need to cheat your parent here and there to be able to
get the money.
to be able to get the money, not realizing that you are forming a habit which will become difficult to get rid of later on in life. So basically mine started from high school, and it started so subtly. I thought it's something that later down the road I'll be able to drop it off. But it became such a struggle for me that I was very grateful when I was able to stop it.
All right.
Yes.
And talking about being grateful when you could stop it, for how long did this habit continue? And maybe, how did you stop? Kwanza tuambie for how long you smoked, ulikunywa pombe, and then what really happened on that very day you just decided, this is just too much. How was it?
Yes. So basically what happened is that I started smoking in 1988. So 1988, by the time I was stopping, I'd smoked for 17 years. I'd smoked for 17 years. And smoking and drinking went hand in hand. So, but I stopped drinking later on. So that could be another 5 years after that. So that was basically around 22 years of drinking. So what led me to stop smoking? Smoking was my first habit that I wanted to get rid of. After school, I managed to get admitted into a medical training college. And when you're there, then of course you realize some of the habits that you are partaking or you're indulging in are not good for health. So while I was there, I tried to stop, I tried to disengage, but it was not possible. So I graduated from the college, and I only managed to stop. My first attempt at stopping to smoke was 3 years after I left college. So luckily for me, this is how God created me. I was able to focus my mind on it and be able to stop it. However, at one time I was hanging out with my friends in a bar, and I had stopped smoking for like a period of 6 months. And while he was in the washroom and he came back, I had already taken like 2 puffs.
Okay. That is what we call backsliding. Yani you decided and then just from nowhere. Majaribu, you know?
Yes. And you see, it comes so sadly from people that you know and people you hang around with. So I was so disappointed in myself. Actually, that same night, I actually went back into it full blown. I remember that same night I even got a full packet, which I consumed. I think there were these cravings that were there that were just, highlighted again. And they said, today.
My goodness, I can feel you.
They said, today we are doing a full packet. So by the time I went home, I had already blown that one packet. So that was around in 2002. So of course I had, because of that disappointment, I kept trying to go back to stopping. It was very difficult. I always say among the addictions that I had to stop is, for me, was smoking. Because remember those times you didn't have those public places for smoking, and you would come across people on the streets who are smoking. So as much as you're trying to contain yourself or hold yourself, you pass someone who is smelling a cigarette.
And you're a passive smoker, and you the appetite just comes up.
Just comes up.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're running again to the kiosk, looking for the cigarette that you can have to be able to quench your thirst. So that was hard. That was really, really hard. I was still drinking at the same time. So I got my firstborn in the year 2004. That was it, 2004, August. And this was very trying for me because you cannot smoke around a child. He was very, very young. And being so young, and where we were staying, we didn't have a balcony. So I could not go to the balcony to smoke. So the only way I could go and quench my thirst was to go to the staircase, where now all my neighbors were passing. So it created a lot of discomfort,
Yes.
a lot of discomfort for me. So I remember at one point smoking, and I was hating myself for it. Yeah, it was so annoying. I really, really did not. I was not impressed by myself. Smoking on the corridor, can't hang out with my firstborn son in the house because I can't smoke where he is. And that is when I know I asked God to help me to stop it at that time. So it didn't stop at that time. I continued and continued. But I realized every day I woke up with a greater passion to stop this smoking. Every day I woke up feeling stronger and stronger about the resolve to stop smoking. So one day I just stopped. I had a full packet in the car, and where I had kept it, I went to reach out for it. But as I was reaching out for it, I just felt the lack of tamaa. What do you say, tamaa in
The appetite.
the
There was
thirst
no
itself?
appetite and thirst.
Yes, for that smoke. And that is how I stopped smoking.
Wow.
And the packet stayed in that car for so long, such that it was a packet of embassy lights. It was there for so long, such that the guy who used to wash the car always used to find the same packet there. And one day he asked me for it, and I told him, by the way, you can take it. And when he took it, he said, hizo cigarette zimeharibika. So he could not even
So
use them.
they were expired and you didn't even know.
I didn't even know. So they were expired, they were flat, but they had been there for so long. They'd definitely been there for over a month or two. And it's a packet I'd left in the car so that I could puff while I'm in traffic or something. So that means it was already opened. So God is good, because what happened is that I never suffered the withdrawal. The withdrawal symptoms that people usually suffer from.
Yeah.
I just remember I used to smell that smoke of cigarette, and a great loathing, a hatred would come, hating that smoke. Totally hated it. So for me, I was able to keep away from that. And of course, I learned my lesson, and whoever told me to hold for him the cigarette while he was going to the washroom, I told him, boss. I told him, boss, if you can't go your cigarette to the washroom, you either stomp it or throw it away, but you don't think of giving it to me, because I have fallen once, and I cannot.
And you do not want to
again.
go back again. Huh?
I'll not go back.
This
I'll
is
not
why
go
we
back
say,
to that,
depart from me, Satan.
Yes, and I ran away. Yeah, so had he really forced me to it, of course, I'd have taken off from that part.
Yeah.
So you realize I'm still drinking, but I haven't stopped smoking. Drinking was quite interesting, because I moved from beer, then I went to whiskey, I went to hard liquor. And it reached a point, I remember, that even if someone would look for me on a Monday to go and drink, we would go and drink.
On a Monday. Working day. The first day of the week, as we call it.
We've come from church on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Monday. On Monday, I'm at the pub.
bar.
If someone looked for me.
So let me get this straight, Nick. Sunday uko
Yes.
church. Yani umeinua mikono, you've praised the Lord completely. Then Monday, you go straight to the bar.
Monday, you look for me, you tell me, let's go and have a pint. I will escort you and we'll have a pint. Okay. Until now, we realize tomorrow we are working. So that was definitely before we got married. And of course, after marriage now, things toned down, and now you focus your drinking energies on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah. So, but I moved from beer. I went to spirits. I went from spirits. I went to whiskey, and it was definitely not a good experience. I had never been caught by cops before, but when I started drinking, I was caught by cops. Yeah, and it was quite an experience. It was quite an experience.
All right.
Yeah.
So all these challenges came with just drinking, and even being caught by cops. But I want to know, when is that moment that you just said, sasa enough is enough, I am not doing this anymore? What really happened?
Now, now when I was in the way of family, I have 3 children. So my firstborn was born 2004, the second one was born 2006, and the third one was born in 2009. And as we were getting more children, I realized some habits are not good, and I started thinking about the drinking part. It became very central in my life, in that it used to even affect me in terms of how I could participate in the house. So I'd find that I'm now balancing between money for going to drink and money for
your
taking
family.
home.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So here I am dividing up money, and I'm like, okay, sometimes you're struggling to support or even to contribute to some areas in the family. So I knew this drinking is one of the reasons that I'm not able to do that, because drinking affected me to the level that I could not even restrain myself at a particular life limit. So once I started drinking, I could go until pesa ishe. Sometimes you'd even be left. Sometimes you'd even be left with a bill in the bar.
Yeah.
Because yes, you'll be left with a bill in a bar. As in, you go and you come back and you sort it out, and then you start another one. So towards 2009, 2010, even as that time also my life was not going very well, and there are challenges here and there, and that is when I remember looking up and asking myself, what is life about? What is life really about? Is it just about having fun? Now I'm seeing the children coming in and they're growing. My wife is also giving great support to the family. That means there's a level of attitude of mind that I need to have, focusing towards this family, because that is a unit. That's my central unit. If that unit is not working, then of course nothing else will work. And business, I was also in business at that time, so it was not doing very well. It was not doing very well. So that's when now I really now started shifting my focus more towards God. I have a background where Christianity is there, but not very strong. But now when I started reading the Bible for myself, I was able now to pick out some serious lessons and learnings from the Bible that I never had told in church or anywhere that I've been a member of. Yeah. So as I continued learning the Bible, I realized even some habits, some thoughts I had about the drinking were not part of the Bible. And that's when I decided I have to stop drinking. Remember, I'd been blessed with this gift of fortitude that I could be able to stop off at some point.
And focus on another thing.
Focus on another thing. However, I realized that, yes, I can stop, but I need something to maintain me throughout that period of stopping. And that's where I remember calling out to God, calling out to Jesus, and asking him to give me that strength, that fortitude, that strength, that fortitude, that, I don't know how to put it, that to be able to maintain me throughout, not the next 60 days, not the next 90 days, but to take it long haul, to take it into the future. That I can say, by God's grace, I stopped drinking. I can say, by God's grace, I stopped smoking. And he had me.
Wow. I like that. He had you. And I like that just from your story, we can say that, of course, the ability of you focusing on one thing and also with the help of the Lord. For you, it was just a pop thing. You know, the way you snap your fingers and something just changes. But you pointed out something very interesting. And this, I believe, is happening in some Christians, and we put it underwater. You know what they say, chini ya maji? You don't want anyone to know. So you're a Christian, you go to church, but at the same time, you have some addictions. They could be known by your family members. You could have kept them secret. But I want you to talk to these kind of people, the Christians that are still battling any kind of addiction. You know, just a word of encouragement, and maybe tell them that there is hope and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, there, like you said, there are many Christians who are putting on a facade, and they are not really being themselves. And they want to appear strong and look strong in front of people, that they can handle whatever they are coming across. I want to speak to them and tell them that it is okay. It is very okay. Just for you to accept yourself and say, I'm struggling here. I am struggling here in this area of drinking. I'm struggling here in this area of smoking, or whichever substance that we know is not good for our system, that we cannot go and tell our mothers about. Yeah. So once you accept that, there's help, there's hope. You will have to do whatever it takes for you to change. And this can only be through the power of the Spirit. Holy Spirit is there to energize us, is there to help us, is there to encourage us. And it will also give us the wisdom of what we need to be able to maintain our new state. For me, so many things had to happen. For my circle of friends, I had to change them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you realize there are these people who keep calling you, and they're the same ones. You love them, yes, but they're the ones who are going to make you fall back
Yes.
to the circle that you're trying to break. Yes. There are people who hear that you're in bed, and they want to send you a taxi to pick you up from wherever you are so that you can go and keep them company. Sometimes God, through the Holy Spirit, will show you, this is your friend, but keep him at bay at particular times.
Yeah.
You now have a particular responsibility. You're now in a particular frame of society, and you also need to take care of the things that I've blessed you with. So some things cannot continue the way they were without my guidance and my input. So God heard me, listened to me. I can say my friends are still there, but some of them
you put them at bay.
Yeah. Yes, some of them I meet them during the day, business activities, but later than 5 p.m., 6 p.m., I'm off to my abode.
Wow.
And that's where I'll be able to now continue.
Well, wow, thank you so much. Oh, yes. Nick, your story is just one of a kind. You know, some people believe that you cannot overcome an addiction just like that, but your story is just one of those that we need to believe, and it's evidence that when you ask for help, you can actually get it. I'm very, very grateful that you shared this.
Even guys who are struggling with weight, I want to tell them it is doable.
Yeah.
The only thing is that you don't do things once expecting the ultimate result on that first time. That first experience will help you to understand, what did I feel the first time? And when you approach the Holy Spirit, she will tell you, this is what you need to do for the next time. I started a diet last year, September.
Yes.
And when I started this diet, I was 113 kilograms.
113.
When I started this diet. Yes, 113 kilograms.
Yes.
1 year later, that was last month, I have shed close to 28 kilograms.
Oh my.
Because as you speak,
we need to clap for you.
Thank you. I take a bow.
Yeah.
I take a bow. By God's grace, and it's all by God's grace.
Wow.
Because as I was measuring myself even this morning, I'm at 87 kilograms.
That is awesome news.
I'm at 87 kilograms. So I had started dieting from the 2000s, 2002, 2003. I had some success, and I said, fine. But I didn't think about, now post my diet, how will I maintain?
Wow. I like
and of course, I went back overweight, and I lost so it keeps building you up. You don't get it right the first time, but if you pray, you'll be guided as to what you shall do the next time, and you'll be able to know, I need to cut off this, I need to cut off this. So it is possible.
It is very
By God's grace, it is possible. Yes, yes. So for those who want to lose weight, yes, you can do it. You can do it by God's grace.
I like that. And I like the final word that you say in everything, it's by God's grace, it's possible. Thank you, Nick, for sharing your story. Unfortunately, we have to end this. But
thank you so much.
This story is one of a kind. God bless you.
Yes, thank you. Be blessed as well, and have a nice time. We are very grateful for what you do for us. And when I saw this, I said, I also have to come and share and give someone hope.
Oh,
yes.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Thank you so very
Asante
much.
sana.
Well, thank you so much for all those who have sent in messages. And that story, Nicholas is just one of a kind. And again, I'll repeat what he said. You can do all things through Christ. And if you just allow him to hold your hand, all things are possible. News and thousands of Thai protesters cheered and chanted into the night in central Bangkok in a mass show of defiance after the government imposed a state of emergency and banned demonstrations in a bid to end more than 3 months of protests. The growing demonstrations have targeted King Maha Vajiralongkorn as well as the Prime Minister Prayut Chan-ocha, who led the 2014 coup in the biggest challenge of years at an establishment long dominated by the army and the palace.
Scuffles and clashes in Bangkok as tens of thousands joined together on Thursday night in protest, calling for the resignation of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-ocha, as well as pointing fingers at Thailand's seemingly unassailable monarchy.
We're out here to show our forces that we will not give in to dictatorship any longer. I want to show them that no matter what they do, no matter how dirty their tricks are, it doesn't have any effect on us now.
Protesters defied a new police order banning gatherings of more than 4 people as they spilled across the busy junction of Ratchaprasong in the center of the capital. At the same time, Thai police announced they were gathering evidence to press ahead with prosecutions.
The gathering of more than 5 people is already a breach of the law under the emergency decree, and all protesters will be prosecuted. The Metropolitan Police team have been recording all of the protesters who participated.
Overt challenges to the monarchy are unheard of in Thailand, where the royal family's influence permeates every aspect of society. In the latest protests, leaders have repeatedly said they wish only for the monarchy to adapt to modern times. Their demands include the abolition of a strict royal defamation law, shielding the king from criticism, and for the monarchy to stay out of politics. Since these protests started 3 months ago, dozens of activists have been arrested, charged with provocation, and released on bail. Thursday evening's demonstrations ended peacefully, however, with organizers calling protesters to return on Friday at 5 p.m. local time.
And now the U.S. President Donald Trump and his Democratic challenger Joe Biden have been answering questions from voters at separate televised events held in the same time at different television networks. The TV town hall meetings replaced the second presidential debate, which was cancelled after President Trump was diagnosed with COVID-19 and then refused to conduct the debate online. The two rivals showed they have very different approaches in both style and substance.
After their chaotic first debate, Donald Trump and Joe Biden squared off, thousands of kilometers away this time, with Trump in Miami and Biden in Philadelphia. The coronavirus pandemic taking center stage.
We did the right thing. We were expected to lose 2,200,000 people and maybe more than that. We're at 210,000 people. One person is too much. It should have never happened because of China. It happened because of China.
We make up 4% of the world's population. We have 20% of the world's deaths. We're in a situation where we have 210,000+ people dead. And what's he doing? Nothing. He's still not wearing masks and so on.
The simultaneous televised town halls meant voters could only listen to one of them at a time, but the event still offered a striking contrast between the two candidates. President Trump repeatedly clashed with his moderator about his COVID tests, his tax returns, and his view on white supremacists. He also did not disavow the right-wing conspiracy group QAnon.
Right. I just don't know about QAnon.
You do know.
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Let me ask you another thing.
Let's waste a whole show. You start off with white supremacy, I denounce it. You start off with something else. Let's go. Keep asking me these questions.
Biden, meanwhile, was pressed to clarify his position on contentious issues like expanding the U.S. Supreme Court.
I have not been a fan of court packing because I think it just generates what will happen. Whoever wins, it just keeps moving in a way that is inconsistent with what is going to be manageable.
So you're still not a fan?
Well, I'm not a fan. I didn't say it depends on how this turns out. people working in a, you know.
2.5 weeks before the election, it's not clear whether the night proved a decisive moment that could turn the tide of this race.
And finally, about something to be grateful for, Jennifer Martin, an elementary school reading teacher in Texas, has built a free library in her garage in her home for students and pupils who cannot have access to a public library. Listen into this story.
Tonight in Austin, Texas, Gilbert Elementary School third grade teacher, Ms. Jennifer Martin, turning her garage into a library for her students learning remotely and for the other children in her neighborhood. The closest library is 15 miles away, so she opened her own. Children come in socially distanced.
Hi, David.
Ms. Martin giving us a tour.
Welcome to Miss Martin's Neighborhood Library.
The biography section, fiction, Spanish.
I just knew that there was a need there, and it seemed easy for me to meet that need.
And this amazing number tonight. With her own collection and donations, that library now has 3,000 books.
That is what we call touching the lives of persons in different ways, in the smallest way that you can. Yeah, just make sure you positively impact on someone else's life. Thank you so much for tuning in to This Is the Day for the whole week. I wish you a very, very peaceful and blessed weekend. And from the team and I, have a good night. My name is Sarah Otieno.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.